myself as I am my own life's example, but as a mirror, not as a model, right?
Mm,
To challenge leaders to use what happens for you in life as a way to mirror that to your team.
mm.
That's where adaptive leadership comes in. That's where storytelling has such a profound effect. Stories don't replace data or KPIs or
Welcome back, friends, to the Empowering Women podcast, where we celebrate bold voices, human fueled leadership, and the women who are actively shaping what's next. I'm your host, Shannon Baumgartner. And on behalf of Empowering Women in Industry and our amazing founder, Charlie Carruth, thank you for being part of this community. You truly are the heartbeat behind the connection, support, and momentum that keeps lifting women upward every single day. This episode, it arrives at a pretty meaningful moment. It's March. It's Women's History Month, which means we're surrounded by stories of courage, reinvention, and doors being opened, sometimes gently, and sometimes they are being kicked wide open. And if we're all being honest, most of us are here today because someone, somewhere, chose to give us an opportunity we did not technically have to receive. What I have learned is this: giving opportunity, visibility, or even a second chance, it is not about losing something. It's about multiplying what's possible. And today's guest is living that mindset in a really powerful and honestly much needed way. Katie Furtado is the co founder of Higher Innovations, and she is on a mission to fix what's broken in the hiring world. You know, the ghosting, the phantom job post, the black hole where resumes go to live out their days in mystery. Who does not have one of those nightmare hiring stories they can share? Katie and her team, through human centered AI and a fresh perspective on opportunity, they are helping organizations bring dignity and connection back into the hiring process, while also helping people, especially women and those navigating non traditional paths, find their way to meaningful work. In this conversation, we talk about redefining rejection, navigating bias, the real role of visibility, and why opening one small door for someone else might just reshape the future. And yes, we share a few laughs along the way. So whether you're building your career, rebuilding it, or helping someone else rise, this episode is for you. Here's my conversation with Katie, a woman on a mission to redefine hiring and opportunity. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Empowering Women podcast. This week's conversation, it lands right in the heart of International Women's Day and this year's very powerful theme of give to gain. And here's the truth: when women share knowledge, visibility, and hard earned wisdom, it doesn't diminish our power, it actually multiplies it. And today's guest, she has spent more than 25 years doing exactly that. Emily Lampkin is a trusted advisor for women leaders, and she is the founder of the Women Leaders series. Her book, which I love the title, Duct Tape and White Lies, delivers the kind of honest, practical leadership advice that women have been craving. It's the finally someone said it truth about confidence, boundaries, being heard, and leading without apology. So I think this conversation, it's going to be about giving women the tools no one has ever taught us so we can all gain clarity, confidence, and collective momentum. So Emily, I am thrilled and excited to have you here. Let's dive right in.
Can't wait. Let's get going.
So, as I just mentioned, you spent 25 years advising women leaders across politics, public service, and boardrooms. And now you've poured all that wonderful knowledge into duct tape and white lies. So what's the moment or pattern that you just kept seeing that made you say, okay, women need the real version of the story?
So here's the story. I was working as a public affairs executive, and over the course of years, I was taking notes on my phone about what made women successful. And not
Mm.
only that they had a fancy title and an elite job, but who was thriving in their life? Who was getting up in the morning and was excited and said, I'm going to go do something today that I'm looking forward to. And it became clear they thrived and were experts in three fundamentals. They are selling you, widening the circle, and going now. We'll go back over them in
Okay.
some more detail. But just to give you some more color on the book, I went out and started presenting the Women Leaders series in a workshop format because Lord knows nobody wants me to talk at them for long periods of time. And one thing I was seeing about the material that was out there, the other books, was that's terrific if you work exclusively in an office setting, in a boardroom or a conference room. But what about if you actually work on a plant floor or on a
Mm.
construction site? Or you're a hospitality manager. Where's the how-to for you? And all of the material, all of those things women excelled at were universal. And I knew I could put the material together that could be used wherever it is you work, in whatever spot of life you're working and you're finding your women leadership opportunity. All right, back to those three basics. Selling you. This is all about what people call now branding. These women
Mm.
were able to, and this is what is included in Duct Tape and White Lies. There's a reason why I call it a practical guide to real life success. I'm going to teach you how to build a personal message about yourself that heads off your competition before they even get a chance to come at you. You'll know how to talk about yourself. You'll also know how to communicate with men. If you're communicating with men the same way you're communicating with women, you're losing. Our brains are wired differently. It's just fundamental science. And you have to know how to approach a man in a conversation and how his brain is wired, just like you do a woman. The third part we do in selling you and really giving you that sense in the book is how you build a selling you pitch. And
Mm.
probably the most critical piece about this is if we want to be women succeeding in life, we have to start asking for what we want.
Oh,
And
and
I am
that
going
sounds
to,
so easy, Emily, but I think I'm going to pick on myself here. It's not easy for me.
it's not easy for any of us. If it was easy, we wouldn't need all of this and we wouldn't be having this conversation. It is not easy. And so we start with some very simple asks. So we just get in the good
Mm.
habit of starting to ask. It makes the bigger asks a lot easier.
Mm.
That's all in the book. We talk about widening the circle. This is all about networking. How do you build a dynamic network in
Yeah, and I think we'll get
person?
to that a little bit later to
Okay,
your
good.
point. But yeah,
Okay, good.
networking.
Yes.
Yeah, I think people, and I'll say this in a little bit, it's just a dirty word for most people. I think people have a visual of going play, and I'm a little old school here, but going out to place and handing around business cards, right? And you're just like, oh, just makes me feel so slimy.
Okay, good. We can talk about that later. The
Yeah.
final section is all about, and I think we'll get into some of this later as well, going now, not waiting for things to happen.
Mm.
That's a bad habit we get into, and it's easily fixable.
Oh, my number one offender. That's a good one. I'm one of those, Emily, that feel like you got to have everything figured out before you move, and that's just not the way it works.
It's not just you, Shannon, and yes, and it's not the way it works, at least not in the way that we want to end up getting what we want. Can I make one final point here?
Yeah, please.
It is okay for us to want things for ourselves. It does not make us selfish. It
Mm.
makes us good. And what happens is I realize, myself included, when I'm doing a certain amount of what I want and very limited discretionary time, all of us have very limited discretionary time. I'm more pleasant to be around at work, at
Mm.
home, amongst my friends. I have something exciting that I'm sharing with people. So if you've been seeking permission or wanting permission to go do some portion of what you want, I've just given it to you. Go do it.
Write that down, everybody. Listen, you just got permission. Emily said so. You can say, Emily just gave me permission. Um, I think one of the most frustrating truths, pardon me, is that smart, capable women, they aren't always taken seriously. From everything you've seen, what's really happened in those moments, and why does it keep repeating itself across industries?
Oh, Shannon, this is a good one. And it is complicated because I think there are many factors that are often at
Mm,
play. What I have learned over the course of my career and interacting with women leaders is what we need to focus on is the ones we can control, not the ones we can't control.
mm,
I have often, unfortunately, heard women really fixated on factors there that they have no control over and will never be able to change. That's just not useful for you, and it doesn't get you what you want. Some of the factors we can control are what how we present ourselves when we come and meet other people. I mean, there is no doubt, and some people would wish it other way, but that our physical appearance, did you brush your hair? Are your clothes ironed? Are you showing up with the best version of yourself? And how do you carry yourself? How do you make an introduction? Is your name clear? Do you
mm.
share your name openly with a pronunciation that people can use it? Are you making eye contact? Strong handshake? Where are your hands when you're standing listening to somebody? All of those are imperative. I'm a what they call a super reader. I read on average about 150 books a year,
Oh
including
my
a
gosh,
lot,
you are my hero, Emily. I can't get. I
a
love to read, but
lot.
my brain just says, "You're done. We're not reading anymore right now."
One thing that I find time and time again is there is so much data out there on how these factors contribute to how people treat us and how much respect they have for us.
Mm,
And by the way, this all falls into confidence, and nobody has complete confidence. I talk to women who
nope.
are presidents of their countries. They are secretly lacking a certain amount of confidence. We will always have to do a level of faking it. But
Mm,
how you carry yourself is how people respond to you. And so
mm,
I always suggest I use a term called a swimsuit friend. And that's that kind of friend you have that you could take swimsuit shopping with you because they're going to be honest about what looks good
mm,
on you and what
mm.
doesn't. Ask a swimsuit friend for what their impression is about how you walk into a room. Fake a scene where you're doing a networking event, introducing yourself, and see how they respond. Do you use filler words? All of that is simple
Mm.
changes we can make today.
Yeah, it's funny that you talk about the appearance piece. I recently went to the doctor for a checkup, and I walked, and I'd never been in that doctor's office before, and I walked in, and the receptionist at the desk looked like she just rolled out of the bed, like, and I thought, wow, like this is a business, and the first impression of me as a patient coming into this office is this person who looks like they spent 5 minutes maybe getting ready. And I was like, wow, like I'm not saying you have to have designer clothes or you need to wear makeup or any of that, but just look polished and put together for you, right? What that looks like for you. It was really interesting experience. And when you were talking about that, I was thinking about what just happened a few days ago.
And there in itself lies the confidence. When we are put together, it's just natural that we're going to carry ourselves with more confidence.
Yeah, I totally agree. I agonize sometimes a little bit too much on what to wear, especially at a business meeting, but it helps me walk in that first day feeling confident about myself. So I totally agree. So speaking of confidence, you said there are confidence skills women are expected to have, but no one ever really teaches them. Do you mind sharing what one or two of those skills are and then how women start practicing tomorrow, not someday?
I would suggest they start practicing today. And
Okay.
we can all start practicing today. Some of the skills that we are expected to have, and by the way, before I even start into the skills, and back to caring ourselves, part of this is, have I decided in my mind that I belong in whatever space I'm in? By deciding
Whew,
you
that is so
belong,
hard, I think, especially for male dominated or populated industries.
It absolutely is. And in fact, my mom has said it to me at times over the years where I would be going to an event and she said, well, how do you know how to act there? Well, two things are true. Number one is I am definitely not going to look like I belong if I don't act like I belong. So I've just decided I belong in lots of places. And just to give some back filler on my bio, if you think I'm from a fancy family or went to a fancy school, you are wrong. So there is no preconceived notion that I necessarily belong places. But that is one of the things, again, I saw with women who are thriving in life is they always had this sense that I belong there. Here's, though, the skill and what I think we need to understand immediately on things we don't know. Everybody is a human being. Even a CEO, a president of a country is a human being. And making a natural connection with somebody else is imperative to having the kind of skills you need to be successful in life. Those are the kind of people that, frankly, everybody remembers when you make a human connection. I often talk about men and women having different strengths. Here's one of our strengths. We are empathetic. We are naturally empathetic. And so showing a little bit of empathy for somebody is also a great skill that we use. And very similar to the nurse at the doctor's office or the receptionist. You never notice when it's lacking. You never notice it except when it's lacking. Meaning you never notice somebody doesn't have empathy until they don't. And so treating people like human beings and recognizing everybody's a human being, and especially in 2026, that everybody's not playing gotcha. Most everybody is looking with good intentions on making a human connection. That is one of the fundamental skills, I think, that changes our mentality and increases our interaction and the respect we get from other people.
It's interesting you say that. So I was just in a business meeting this week and we were sitting at lunch. I think this was yesterday, and people were talking different things. There's a lot of conversations going on. And I heard like the left end of the table. I was sort of right in the middle talking about some business thing. And then there was a person in front of me, and then I heard the right end of the table talking about some other business thing. And I thought, you know what? We should be spending this time like the gentleman in front of me. I hadn't seen him in a while. And I was asking him, how's your family? What's been going on, and I find that's really important. And we often skip that, to your point.
Yes, it is. It is a key factor in being memorable and being respected.
Yep, totally agree. So speaking of things that you should do, let's talk about invisible habits. And I started with one of these. I'm going to tell on myself here, which is the apologizing, over-explaining, softening, or waiting. So as we were getting on this call, Emily and I were hooking up, and I was trying to take care of a few administrative things before I turned my camera on. I said, oh, apologize. And she's like, you don't need to apologize. You're just getting ready. So let's talk about those invisible habits. And which habit do you see the most often? And then what's one small shift that creates an immediate ripple effect?
Great question. In my answer to those and others, which one I see the most? All of them. Yes, yes, yes. Over explaining, I call it oversharing. I think this is one. First of all, the apologizing, everybody can take care of that today. That's just habitual, and we just need to get out of the habit. And when we're talking about women helping other women, I always make it a point, just like our interaction, Shannon, moments ago, where I will tell a woman when she apologizes to me, no need to apologize. We women do that too much. And just reminding them kindly as well, we all got to get out of that habit. Every time we do it, we lose a little bit of power. It needs to stop, and it's easy to do. On the oversharing, I am surprised to this day how often powerful women included, I know what sports their children play, what time their game is, what doctor's appointment that woman has, not because we are personal friends or have had a candid conversation on the side, but because it's in response to an interview or a meeting request, and if they're available or not. It's absolutely none of anybody's business where you are.
It's so true. I'm laughing because I'm a culprit of this. That's why I'm laughing.
And I'll tell you why we lose power by oversharing is somebody else may discern that your reason for not being available is not good enough. So don't give it to them. Don't let them
Yeah.
have, if somebody says, and again, all of this is in the book, and I give all sorts of examples on ways you can do it. It certainly serves as a handbook. You can go look up here, how do I do this? Is just saying 4 p.m. on Tuesday doesn't work for me. What about 4 p.m. next Tuesday? End of story.
Oh,
They
that's,
don't need
yeah.
to
I mean,
know.
that's really powerful. It's simple, but powerful, right? So you're saying I can't be available. So you're drawing a boundary. And then you're saying, but I'm not shutting you down. Here's my proposal. And then it opens room for negotiation, so to say, to find the right time.
You said that brilliantly. Yes.
I love that. So what about softening or waiting? Any thoughts on those? Softening yourself?
The waiting is the third fundamental of this whole structure of this book that we have got to go now. This waiting for things to happen, it leads to women living a life of regret. And all I can stress is, and we can get into the details of that, we have got to stop waiting. We have got to understand that typically the person most likely in the way of getting what we want is ourselves. I call them, Shannon, dream slashers. And this is something women are experts at. I'll give you some of them that I hear all the time. Oh, I'm going to do that when my kids are older, when my mom's not sick. Once I lose 20 pounds, once I get that promotion, once I have the first $10,000 worth of investment, then I'm going to. We have to stop that. That is women thriving in their life.
I just had this happen. Well, I have done this to myself. Let me change that language. I'm now that you're saying this, Emily, I'm going to confession here on, I guess, live podcast is I think I'm a professional dream slasher because I've done that so many times. I'll get the start down the road and then say, oh, this has happened and that's happened. I just need to take a pause. And sometimes it's true. I need to physically and mentally take a pause. But most of the time it's me just getting in my own way.
Being terrified. And we're all kind of terrified of some stuff. Shannon, it is not you. It is all of us. Do you know when the first person said to me, does your Women Leaders series exist in a book? I was like, what? And it was not the next day that I decided I needed to go write a book. I had to first go find out, well, surely somebody else has done this and put this all together in a useful format with a clever title and is sharing this because I am not the only person who's thought about doing this. And then, critical point here, actually went and did it.
Right.
So it's all of us. We all do it.
Ah, I love it. So this year's International Women's Day, as I said on the outset, the theme is give to gain. The idea is that generosity multiplies opportunity. So how can women give support, mentorship, or visibility without overgiving, which I'm very guilty of, burning out or shrinking themselves in the process?
Good question. And on that overgiving, in the book is a list of ways to say no without saying no, ways to get out of conversations. All of that is there as well because you don't have the opportunity to go get what you want when you've over obligated yourself to a bunch of stuff you simply don't have to do, and you can make it sound nice and get out of it. But on mentorship and giving, and I love that this is the theme, the first and easiest and most practical way to do this is to lead by example. I always say nobody dictates my character but me. How I handle myself with other women, even if they're being snarky, even if they're trying to, push me in front of a train for my job or whatever else it is, and I live in a dog-eat-dog town of DC, is that
you ever?
They do not dictate my character. I do not treat people differently or poorly. And I think setting a pace for where you can go. I tell stories in this book about myself, but I also share stories of women across the country and around the globe on how they do it. And I want to hone in on a woman in private equity, another heavily male field.
Oh, and tough, and just dog eat dog world, to your point. Yep.
And she said, there's all these young women in my office, and she has children and all of these obligations who want her to be their individual mentor. She said, the best I can do for them is to set what I do as the pace and as a vision for what they could do. And if I can get ahead, I've now been a trailblazer in the world where they can follow me. She said, I don't have the time for the individual. That's okay. Some of us also have limited time or have a little bit of time for that. Two things about mentorship, I will say, about us as individuals. If you have a mentor or you're seeking mentorship input, two things. Number one, nobody else ever has all the information except for you. So just know that whenever somebody is providing advice or guidance, they never have all the information. Only you do. And number two, nobody has to live with the decision but you. So even if there's somebody you greatly respect who recommends or has advice one way, you need to make the decision that's best for you because you're the only one who has to live with the decision. That's what I would say about mentorship. I think there's lots of opportunities to bring others along, but I think leading by example is the most important.
That is great advice. I can't even give a comment to that when my head is spinning. But your book, my understanding, gives women actual scripts. So I think you alluded to that earlier for saying no, setting boundaries, and leading without apologizing. And I bless you for that last one. Aside from the ones we've talked about, what's one script every woman listening should steal and start using immediately?
Okay, Shannon, can I give two?
Oh, you can give as many as you
Okay,
want.
good.
I just am being respectful of your information, and I
Thanks.
want folks to go buy your book.
Yeah. No, I'm not giving it. There's so many there, but I will give two. And I have been, by the way, overwhelmed by the response to this book and by women purchasing it and using it. It blows my mind. And I'm super excited because I do know we're on to something. Number one, recommendation. And this one works especially well with men. And as you'll learn in the book, men who are considered one-ups, you'll learn the concept there. But here it is. You'll appreciate this. That is how I often start when I'm about ready to say something to them, because it shows a level of respect that they know something. It also draws them into it because they're curious, because it selfishly sounds like something that's part of them already. So I often use, oh, you'll appreciate this before I start to say something in a conversation. They're very curious what this is. That's one.
I had never thought about that. That's very unique. I love that.
It works incredibly well. The other one I would recommend, and we often want to follow up or check on somebody, or we want to reconnect with somebody because we want something. That we've had a longstanding networking or friend relationship, I will send a note and tell somebody, you just popped into my mind, or I was just thinking about you. And people find the fact that you think about them very endearing and appreciate it. And so sometimes I use it when I want something, and sometimes I use it because I simply saw that they just got a big job promotion, or I hear they just have a new baby. Or they're getting married, and just send a simple congratulations. Those things take me about 10 seconds to do. And let's say I do 40 of them a week. I have now gone back and solidified 40 relationships at just mere moments.
Yeah, I've used that second one. And I don't even think I realized what I was doing. But usually it for me isn't because I need something, but now you've given me another thought about it. For me, it's usually reconnecting. To your point, I've seen a job, or I saw like one recently, Emily, is I saw a commercial that reminded me of someone that used to be on my team, and it allowed me to reconnect with that person. And I really genuinely value their friendship, but it allowed me to show that to that person.
And by the way, just because you want something does not mean you're insincere.
True. Yep.
And I think
It's true.
sometimes
They did pop into your mind.
So, and sometimes, and remember, I say white lies is the second half of this title. If somebody didn't necessarily pop into mind, but you thought, oh, I saw this job and I actually know somebody who could help me here, all of that stuff to me is perfectly fine. It is genuine in terms of being sincere, that you like somebody and that you want to reach out. Everything does not need to be critically clear in terms of, well, that's technically correct.
Yeah. fair enough.
I know that's difficult for you engineers sometimes, but the
It
rest of
is.
us can do it very
Yeah.
easily.
Us engineers, we can be a little fun. So I promised you would get back to the world of networking. And I said this earlier, but I know myself and I know people, women in particular, cringe at the word of networking. Yeah, I think we all intuitively understand that access and relationships, they matter. So how do women build those powerful networks? And I think we're predispositioned to it, by the way, in a way that feels generous and authentic and aligned, but it's not transactional or exhausting.
Networking. Again, I live in DC. I mean, this is my real expertise. I can do 3 or 4 events in a night. I have a
Oh,
top 10 list
you are really
of,
my hero, Emily. You've just like gone way up the list. You read
you
that many
have
books
to.
and you do that.
You have to. It is, if you go to work during the day in DC and go home at night, you will never get ahead. It is the second half of the workday. But my point on that, the book has what I have put together as my top 10 networking skills and tips. And they are usable not just in that room you were describing at the beginning, where everybody's there with a business card, knowing that's exactly why they're there. They
Right.
are usable in any setting in order to up your networking game. I I find that it becomes less miserable for 2 reasons. Number one, and this is a huge insight, and I was surprised when I shared it with some colleagues in this town who have been working in this town for 30 or more years. Never go to an event without a plan. You need to decide what you want to get out of it before you ever walk in there. Maybe it's just meeting 2 new people. Maybe it's reconnecting with the host. Maybe you're looking for somebody in particular that you need to connect with at an event, but never go without a plan. That's one hint I would give. And then recognizing that networking settings could be your mahjong group or your book club or a dinner party. We all are in the habit of going to sit with the person we know the best. My networking advice is go sit with the person you know the least. That's how you network in a place where you're already going to be. And it may be
Wow,
of
that one
no,
is so tough for me because I would call it ambivert, introvert, extrovert, and I'm an only child. So I think that really gets in my way. And how do introverts in particular overcome that? Because
I
like they
ha-
already don't want to be there to start with, and they're
for
like, "Oh, I know
sure.
person A. I'm going to sit next to Jane that I know."
Well, and I would put with the introverts, and this is a question I'm asked all the time, and there are specific ones that I highlight in the book for introverts, people who are shy, and frankly, people who suffer from social anxiety. There are some
Mhm.
specific things you can do that lessen the anxiety and the misery around networking and getting to know people. And so all of that is included in the book because I do want to walk people through, and it is possible to be an introvert or shy or have social anxiety and still do this successfully.
There's hope for us.
There's
To all you
hope.
introverts and folks that don't like networking out there, there's hope for us. So I have one more question. So as you know, we're going to release this around International Women's Day. So what is one final piece of advice you'd offer women who really want to step fully into the leader that they are and they want to give, gain, and ride along other women? What's one piece of advice you'd give them, and multiple if you'd like to do more than one?
Take risks.
Mm.
All of us define risk differently, but please take risks. Women who are thriving in their lives and living without regret take risks.
Mm.
Now, that means you are going to make mistakes. I call mistakes now I knows. And there's no way that
Mm.
anybody is successful without lots and lots of now I knows. And if I physically face planted every time I made a mistake, I wouldn't have any front teeth. I do it all the time. But there is no way to get better than by taking risks and knowing that mistakes make you better in the long run.
Oh, I love that one so much. So that I can't believe this, Emily. I can't tell you how big of a blessing you've been today. I've been struggling with my own decisions about taking some risk, and I think you were brought into my life today for a reason. So thank you so very much for that. Where can folks find your book?
They can find my book. Easiest place is on Amazon, but really anywhere you would buy books, you can find Duct Tape and White Lies.
Okay.
And my name, Emily Lampkin, Lampkin. I have a website, emilylampkin.com. Easy to find all the information there.
Yeah. And if folks want to follow you or interact with you outside of that, where can they find you?
Yes, 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 please. I love to hear your stories. So please share your stories with me. I am on LinkedIn. I am on Instagram. I am on Facebook.
Okay.
Any place you would want to go find on Instagram, YouTube, I am there.
Yeah, and for our listeners, we'll include those in the show notes. But I always want to give our guests time to share where they're most vocal at if folks want to follow them.
On
But
LinkedIn,
Emily,
on all those platforms, on Fridays, I share a Friday tips for women. There's a little piece of advice or go get them every Friday for you there.
yeah, Emily, I don't think we've connected on LinkedIn yet, so we are because I want to get those Friday tips, and I will be picking up that book. So if anybody wants to read it with me, direct message me on LinkedIn. I want to give the full book a read. Emily, as I said just a minute ago, you've been such a blessing to me and our listeners today. I really appreciate your time, and I know we're recording this a little ahead of time, but happy International Women's Day. Thank you so much for being here.
Shannon, thank you for having me. Thank you for choosing to be a woman leader. You make the world a better place.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, everyone. Well, I will see you for a different episode later on in March. And until then, keep igniting your fire within. I'll talk to you soon. What a meaningful way to wrap up this conversation and put a bow on another fabulous Women's History Month. Katie reminded us that opportunity is not just something we wait for. It's something we create. It's something we extend. And sometimes it's something we reopen for someone else. One moment of our conversation that really stayed with me was when Katie said, visibility is free to give. You just have to be intentional about it. Sit with that for a second. Visibility is free to give. And yet, it can change everything. A connection, a referral, a recommendation, a simple, hey, you should meet this person. Those small acts of visibility are often the very things that shape someone's future. It reminds me of this quote from Melinda Gates. When we lift up women, we lift up humanity. And that's really the heartbeat of today's conversation and of this community. So here is your call to action. Give someone visibility. Recommend a woman for an opportunity. Share someone's work. Make an introduction. Help someone be seen. Because as Katie also reminded us, giving the visibility and access does not diminish the power, but multiplies it. And if you're someone who loves connecting people to opportunity, there's a really unique way you can put this into action. Katie shared a platform called JobStream, where trusted voices can help connect their communities to real job opportunities while continuing to uplift others in meaningful ways. You can learn more or explore being a career creator or a career influencer using those links in the show notes. It's a little something special for this amazing community of connectors. And speaking of this amazing community, if you're new to the Empowering Women podcast or the Empowering Women in Industry community, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so glad you are here. You'll find links in the show notes to connect with Katie, explore the new world of hiring, and continue this conversation. And I have one small favor that makes a big difference. If this episode encouraged you, Share it with someone who might need a reminder that opening a door for someone else never closes one for you. Please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs this message. That's how these stories travel. That's how community and connection grow. Until next time, keep lifting, keep connecting, and keep redefining what's possible. That small spark within, it just needs a little oxygen to become your fire within. Until next time, have fun, everyone.